What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bourbon and Bets. I am your host, Zach Stonerock, and it is finally NFL Week 1. Things kicked off on Thursday Night Football with the Lions heading into Arrowhead to steal a victory away from the Chiefs. That was a fantastic game if you didn't get a chance to watch it. Obviously, there's been a lot of conversation going on about whether the game would have been different if Kelsey was there. If Kadarius Toney didn't have hands made of bricks. There was a lot of things that happened, but overall, I mean, it was a great game. I was excited to see the Detroit Lions walk away with that 21-20 victory. Patrick Mahomes did everything he could. He showed us once again why he is a generational talent. Leading rusher, threw for over 200 yards. There's a lot of mistakes that happened that weren't his fault. There was the pick six that happened with Kadarius Toney, which, of course, you can manipulate any type of screen grab at like the perfect angle, but on that pick six, it truly looked like that ball could not have been placed any better into Kadarius Toney's hands, but definitely having an off night. So I don't know. Kadarius Toney has had a few spurts of great games and great performances, but it's been a while since we've seen those. So I don't know what that's going to look like moving forward. I know the Chiefs are really looking forward to getting Travis Kelce back out there as soon as possible. On the other side of the ball, though, Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around Jawan Taylor lining up in the backfield, basically as like an H-back or like a slot receiver, and jumping off sides each play. So that's a huge advantage for an offensive tackle to kind of get a little bit of separation just off the jump to prevent the defensive end from being able to engage and work to make a move to get back to the quarterback a little bit quicker. So I don't know. I mean, I hope the NFL takes some time to review that, but overall, just super excited to have football back. Games are kicking off here in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I wanted to make sure we got this episode out. I'm flying solo today. A lot of the guys have a lot of stuff going on. So going to be a quick episode. We're just going to run through each game. I'm going to give you my picks. I'm not sure if you follow us on Instagram, but if you don't, please do that at Bourbon and Bets. We actually hit our college football parlay yesterday, which was pretty exciting. The odds were plus 713. So as always, you have a better chance of winning your bets if you just do straight up single game bets. But for those of you who, have you'd like to risk a little, win a lot, like parlay them if you want. Last year we didn't have a ton of success, but we've already kicked off with a big win last night. So it was a good night of sports last night for me. I went to the Columbus Clippers game with my family, all my nieces, and John Kinsey Noel crushed a 3-run walk-off home run to end the game. It was pretty cool. And then there was a little fireworks show afterwards. We were there with all 4 of my nieces, and the fireworks show was Taylor Swift themed. So they were in heaven. So it was a really good time. But to get ready for this week, before I dive into these picks, once again, if you're not following us on social media, please do that at Bourbon and Bets on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, greatly appreciate you for doing that. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the video, share your picks in the comments. We always love hearing what you're rolling with the day and what your locks are. But if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we appreciate that as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. However you like to digest the information, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you trusting us to give you a little bit of insight into the games this week. So without further ado, we will go ahead and kick things off here. So looking at the slate of games today, we're going to go through each game. I'm going to tell you if I'm staying away from it, if I have a lean, or if it's an actual play that I'm going to be making. So stay away games are ones that I'm like 100% I'm not going to touch. There's a lot of question marks behind them. The lean games are ones that I might play, but it's not something that I'm going to recommend for the viewers and listeners out there. And then the games that I am playing, those are the ones that I feel most confident in. So we'll go through those. On a lot of these picks too, I do like to buy some points to make the spread a little bit more favorable. For a single game pick, it does kind of alter the payout quite a bit. But if you're going to be looking at making a parlay, it does adjust the payout. But once again, I mean, I'd rather hit and win slightly less money than bet money and lose. So that's where we're at. I'll also share my underdog play of the day, which is a money line pick of a underdog. Imagine that, of my favorite underdog play to win their game. And then we'll also share a anytime touchdown parlay at the end too. And today there's actually a boost on DraftKings that I'm going to be taking advantage of for one of the anytime touchdown scorer picks. So without further ado, here we go. So first game is going to be Cincinnati at Cleveland. This is one that I'm staying away from. I think both these teams have potential to be really good this year. Interested to see if Joe Burrow is 100% and how that's going to pan out. But I think that's the one question on the Cincinnati side. The other side of the ball is, has Deshaun Watson really improved much in the offseason, having a full offseason with his team? I think that the Browns are a lot more talented on offense than probably what they've been in a long time. Nick Chubb back there, he's going to be the workhorse running back. I've mentioned on previous episodes, I think he's going to lead the league in rushing this year. But then you also have Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and then Elijah Moore, who just came over. I think he's going to be a great receiver for them this year. And Cleveland always historically has a pretty strong defense. So, but on the flip side of the ball, I mean, you got Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I believe they have Irv Smith Jr. at tight end now. So I think this is going to be a close matchup. I don't know which way to go on this one. So I am just going to stay away from this game. So good luck to both Ohio teams. I think whoever wins this game could have a very good season. Actually, I think even if they were to lose, whichever team loses this game has a good opportunity to continue and have a successful season as well. So two very good teams playing football today in Cleveland, Ohio. So the next game that we have is the 49ers at the Steelers. This is another game. So I'm very high in the Steelers this year. I think they're a young, talented team, and they have a very good defense. We got the Niners who has Brock Purdy coming back. Obviously, there were some issues in the Super Bowl last year. I'm sorry, not the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship, where there were some quarterback injuries, and that's probably what helped prevented them from going to the Super Bowl. So we'll see how Brock Purdy bounces back. Also, Brock Purdy was, Mr. Irrelevant. He was a big story last year, but this year he is the guy. Teams have a little bit more film on him, how to game plan for him. But the Niners are they're a good team just year in, year out. So with how I feel about the Steelers and how I feel about the Niners being a good team, this is one that I have a lean on. I'm actually going to lean towards the over. So the total for this game is 41.5. So I would lean towards the over on this one. I could see this score being like a 24-20 type of game here. I think that the Steelers are going to be able to put up some points, and I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to find the end zone at some point. He's actually not in my anytime touchdown parlay later, but I just think if there's a guy that just has a nose for getting the ball in the end zone, it's Christian McCaffrey. So very possible there. That Steelers defense is going to be tough, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, would definitely recommend leaning towards the over on this, but pretty comfortable with if you don't want to play. I support that decision. Next game is going to be Tampa Bay at Minnesota. This line is a little bit confusing to me. Minnesota's -5. I was really expecting this to be a bigger spread on this game. When you just look at these two teams on paper, Minnesota is definitely the better team, better offense. I feel like that Tampa Bay defense has been on the decline for a little while. There's also some controversy going on with Mike Evans right now with his contract and whether he's going to be in Tampa beyond this year. There's a good chance he could get traded middle of the year. So a lot of things going on there. The only question mark that I think that Minnesota has in offense is Madison back there in the backfield. But when he did have to come in for Dalvin Cook, he showed a lot of promise, a lot of talent back there. So we're going to roll with Minnesota -5 in this one. So -5 at 110. Next game is going to be Houston at Baltimore. Houston's very young team. There's a reason why they had the number 2 overall pick in the draft last year. They weren't a strong team last year. They added some additions. They got CJ Stroud under center now. But he's a rookie quarterback on a team that's less than great. Going against Baltimore, who has Lamar Jackson, who is always an MVP candidate year in, year out. J.K. Dobbins is back, and then they always have a strong defense as well. So this line is actually at -9.5, but I went ahead and I bought it down to -6.5. So we're going to roll with Baltimore -6.5 at -170. The next game is going to be Jacksonville at Indy. With Indy, there's a lot of it's week 1 in the NFL, right? So we're still trying to sort out a lot of drama. We got the Jonathan Taylor drama, who's going to be the go-to running back in that backfield. Anthony Richardson is a rookie quarterback. I think there's a lot of unknowns still. Whereas with Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence is their guy. They got Calvin Ridley back, who is an explosive receiver. But then they still have Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, and then they got Travis Etienne in the backfield. Just overall, that offense really started clicking last year, and they were able to put up some points. The only thing that scares me a little bit about this game is that it is a divisional matchup. And anytime you throw in that variable, it doesn't matter who the teams are, who the quarterback is. Those games are always just going to be exciting and fun to watch anyway. But I went ahead and I bought Jacksonville down to -3. I see them winning this game probably by about 4 points. I'd be happy, not happy. I'd be happier taking a push than a loss if they do only win by 3. The original line was -4.5, so bought it down to -3 at -160. Next game is going to be Tennessee, New Orleans. Staying away from this game. I think New Orleans is going to be a tough team this year. They always have a strong defense. They have a better quarterback this year. Chris Olave is, in my opinion, him and Garrett Wilson are probably going to be 2 of the best receivers in the NFL in the next year or two. We still have guys like Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams who are still up there. And then obviously you have the guys that are just a little bit older than them, older than Olave and Wilson, with like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. But I think Olave and Wilson are going to be in that same conversation here in about a year or two. But I really like this New Orleans offense. I used to not be a Derek Carr fan, but he's definitely grown on me. But on the flip side of the ball, I mean, Tennessee just seems to figure it out. It's hard to bet against Mike Vrabel. Great coach. Very interested to see how DeAndre Hopkins plays into that offense, and if that opens up some more running lanes for Derrick Henry. So this is a game I'm going to stay away from. I'm probably going to stay away from a lot of bets with these teams until we really see how things are going to play out a little bit for them. I want to see a couple games played before I really make a pick on them moving forward. Next game is Arizona, Washington, and all week I've been saying that I was going to hammer Washington in this one, but this is another one where it seems like Arizona's tanking. Definitely feels that way with them trying to unload everybody. But the reality is maybe Tune, the quarterback, maybe he is the guy. I think it's either going to be Tune or I think Josh Dobbs is there also. So maybe they're better than what we know they are. Maybe they're not trying to tank. I don't know if you guys heard the hype speech that the coach tried to give, but that was I tell you what, I was not ready to do. I was not ready to run through any walls, that's for sure. But again, I think he's just figuring it out, just like the rest of the team. I really like the Commanders. I think that they have very talented receivers. Terry McLaurin's supposed to play today. Jahan Dotson is very young, very talented young receiver. Two pretty good backs with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson back there, and Sam Howell. According to Ron Rivera, Sam Howell's a guy. But again, we haven't really seen this Commanders team on the field together for a full NFL game. So I don't know. I'm not ready to buy yet. I believe Chase Young is going to be out for the first few weeks as well. which he's a big loss on that defense. But granted, he didn't play a lot in a lot of games last year, so staying away from this game for now. I guess we can call it a lean. I would lean towards the Commanders, but it's probably the furthest away from actually making a pick that I would have on a lean. Next game is actually going to be Carolina at Atlanta. Staying away from this game. As you all know, I'm a big Carolina fan, but we're young. We have a lot of young guys. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out. DJ Chark's hurt. Adam Thielen has an ankle injury, but he's still expected to suit up. I think we're going to see a lot of Jonathan Mingo. I think that's going to be exciting to see what he can do. And then in the backfield we have Miles Sanders. So very interested to see how they're gonna utilize him coming out of the backfield. Never really been a super strong between the tackles type of guy, but we'll see if that changes this year. Bryce Young, obviously number 1 overall pick, so there are a lot of expectations for him. But just because you're number 1 overall pick, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. A lot of those guys come in and they don't pan out right away. Sometimes it takes a while, but Bryce Young seems to be probably the most quarterback ready or NFL ready quarterback that we've had come in out of college, because we've had a lot outside of Cam Newton. I would put Bryce Young up there as probably number 2. We won't even go back to like the Jimmy Clausen, Chris Winkie days. That was dark times for us. And then over on the Atlanta side of the ball, you got Desmond Ridder coming into his sophomore season. You got Bijan Robinson coming in. I think he's gonna have a really good season. But I'm unsure about Atlanta, mainly because of Desmond Ridder back there at quarterback. They have some young weapons too. I think that this is going to be a battle of the future of the NFC South. I think these two teams long term are probably going to really dominate the division. I have high hopes for Carolina this year. I think that if this talent can really come together, that they can have a successful season. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's a long season, that's for sure. So staying away from this game. Next game, we have Philadelphia at New England. This line is at -3.5. I went ahead and bought it down to -3. Once again, it's not a divisional game. This is a battle of teams that are relatively close to each other, location wise. You have a team that, in the New England Patriots that have had a lot of historical success, but then you look at the Eagles over the past couple of years, and they've also had a lot of success. So, very different offensive styles. The Eagles, you have Jalen Hurts back there who can, pull the ball, tuck the ball, and run at any moment. And then on the other side of the ball, you have Mac Jones, who probably don't have to worry about that too much. But then you have Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke Elliott. So you got 2 really good backs over there, where when you look at the Eagles, they have good backs like DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenneth Gainwell. All those guys are good, but I don't think really any of them are kind of 3 down backs, whereas Ramondre Stevenson could be that guy, and then Zeke could come in for relief on the goal line. But I see the Eagles being able to spread the ball out a little bit more in the passing game. But again, there's just I think that the main difference maker in this game is going to be Jalen Hurts and his ability to throw the ball downfield to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles -3. I see the Eagles potentially winning that division again this year. Next game, we got the Dolphins at the Chargers. This is another stay away game for me. I think this is probably going to be the best game of the week. There's a lot of offensive firepower. Again, if you're looking for a lean on this one, lean towards the over of 51. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring, but ultimately I'd probably stay away from this one. Green Bay at Chicago. This is another stay away game. I just think there's a lot of questions around how good Jordan Love's going to be and how much Justin Fields has improved. I got both of those guys on multiple fantasy teams, so I hope they both play really well. But I just think that looking at Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay, we just got to see what Jordan Love's going to do. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, we saw what happened when Favre left after Rodgers had been sitting behind him for a few years. I think we're going to see a similar situation here. So really excited for Jordan Love to get out there and show us kind of what he's been working on while he's been studying behind Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see how this game goes. Next game is the Chargers at Seattle. I'm sorry, not the Chargers, the Rams. The Rams at Seattle. I'm taking Seattle -5 here. Geno Smith and his receivers, I think they're just better than Matt Stafford and his receivers. I'd also take Kenneth Walker over Cam Akers. I just think that Seattle's a better team. It's in Seattle, so you have that home field advantage that Seattle's known for. Cooper Kupp is, I'm not sure if he's officially been placed on IR. I want to say he has, but he's going to be out for at least the first 4 weeks. So I'm not sure who Stafford's really going to be throwing the ball to, but I mean, Seattle, in my opinion, is probably the best play here. So taking Seattle -5. Next game is going to be Las Vegas at Denver. Staying away from this game. Sean Payton being in Denver could be a difference maker. But it just seems like there's still some drama going on there. And then with Las Vegas, we haven't seen Jimmy G suit up with that team yet. So just want to wait and see how that goes. They have Josh Jacobs back there in the backfield who led the league last year in rushing. So they have some talent. Jimmy G is a good quarterback. He's shown that he can win games, and he has Devontae Adams out there as well. Jacoby Myers was also a big addition for them. But that Raiders defense is pretty good too with Max Crosby. So staying away from this game. But this game's going to show back up here in just a few minutes when I talk about my underdog pick. Sunday Night Football, we got Dallas at New York. Staying away from this, the New York Giants. Staying away from this one as well. There's been a lot of talk about Daniel Jones really improving over the offseason. I think we still need to figure out if Darren Waller is actually going to play or not. Dallas on paper should be the better team, and I think that Dallas would be a solid pick to win this game, but Dak Prescott just has a way of losing big games. So staying away from this one. Just don't really trust either side yet. And then with Monday Night Football, staying away from this game, Buffalo and the New York Jets. This is a game where I just want to see good football, and I think we're going to see it. You got Aaron Rodgers facing off against Josh Allen. Sit back, enjoy this one. We might put together a same game parlay that we'll post on Instagram tomorrow. But for Monday Night Football, I really just want to enjoy this game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun football to watch. So circling back around to the Las Vegas Denver game, Las Vegas is my underdog pick of the week, just because, like I mentioned, I think that Jimmy G is a proven winner. There's a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball. And Denver has to prove to me that they've gotten past the drama and that Russell Wilson is going to have a better season than what he had last year before I believe in them. So I like Las Vegas here. On the money line, they're +145. So it's my underdog pick of the day. Now let's get to the last portion of this, which is going to be our anytime touchdown picks here. I'm parlaying these. Feel free to play them individually if you'd like. The first one I have is Nick Chubb. And actually on DraftKings, they have a 100% profit boost. So Nick Chubb is -140 to score a touchdown. If you use that 100% profit boost, it boosted to +142. So I went ahead and used my profit boost on that. Individually by itself, it had to be individual for that profit boost to apply. But I'm also including Nick Chubb in there with Alexander Mattison at -110, Ramondre Stevenson at +125, Austin Eckler at -230, and Tony Pollard at -125. So you put all those together, and that's plus 1,827. So decent size payout there. You bet $10, you can win $183 ish, 182, somewhere around there. Going back to recap some of the picks that the initial picks that I had earlier. So we are looking at Minnesota -5 at -110. We're taking Baltimore at -6.5 at -170. Jacksonville -3 at -160. Eagles -3 at -137. And Seattle -5 at, I didn't write that down, I believe that's -110 as well. So if you wanted to parlay those, again, we recommend individual plays, but we also parlay them on our side as well. So that's going to be plus 1,527. So again, a $10 bet there would give you about $153 return. So kind of worth it really for $10. But so those are our picks today. Once again, if you're enjoying the show, we appreciate you listening and watching, whichever way you're absorbing the content. Please go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on any podcast platform, leave a comment on the podcast platform. Please give us a rating, 5 stars if you don't mind. If you really enjoy it, tell your friends about the show. Like I said, we had a big hit yesterday at plus 713. We're hoping we can repeat that today. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing this all season. Our goal is to make sure that we have this out before the 1 o'clock kickoffs. We want to give you at least an hour to absorb the information. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how these games play out. Looking forward to catching up with you again on the next one. And hope you all have a very profitable Sunday, and we'll talk to you soon.